Hello and welcome back to the bench. This is update number 2 for the Hasegawa 135th wheeled front loader. And as you can see, I've made a bit of progress. I've been painting, scratching and chipping away quite happily for quite some time to try and get this to look really gnarly and old and battered and well and truly used and abused. Right, let's take this apart because it does come apart quite easily. And we can do the same on here because it's still very much work in progress, but as you can see, hopefully as he turns it around, you can see that I've been doing an awful lot of chipping and spraying and more chipping and whatnot to give it this really used and abused look on it. Now, as you can see, hopefully, the leading edge of the bucket is quite gnarly and dinked, which is what I want to have, that to give that more convincing look of it being used and abused. Now, as I turn it round, I've put, I think it's about 4 decals on so far. We're getting adventurous here. So I've put them on and it's literally gone from the water straight on. There's no set and sol or any other softener that I've used. It is literally from the water to the model, and then over that I've just rolled a cotton wool bud just to get rid of all of the water, and I've left it for about 5, maybe 10 minutes, and then with a dressmaker's pin in a old mechanical pencil, I've just very carefully dinked and scratched and picked away at it just to try and give it that worn effect, and I think it looks rather good. And I've done the same for this one down here. I haven't done any rusting yet, that's still to come, and I'm kind of thinking I'm going to be using my weathering pencils rather than using paint or anything like that. I prefer to use the pencils because it's a slow application, but you can build it up over a course of many layers and you can be a little bit more precise as to where you want it. So I've still got all of this weld effect to paint over, but I want to put some spits and spots of rust and then go over it with some chipping fluid, and then I can start picking away at that as well, just to give it a little bit more of a convincing worn out look. So that is the arm and the bucket. This part that makes up the hydraulic ram, I am going to use some of this, some shaft and grease and bearings wash to give it that worn look of a slightly, maybe a slight leak from a seal or something. Oh, and just so you know, what I've done to get a kind of a dirty, tarnished look on the metal is I've put down some oily steel from Vallejo, and then over that I've used some of this, which is the Panzer Aces 337 highlight German black. Well, it's not really sort of black, it's a black brown or a brown black, maybe, that kind of colour area. But this is brilliant for chips and making metal surfaces look slightly tarnished. Now what I've done is I've used a really gnarly old brush, the gnarliest brush that you've got in your paint drawer. I've dipped it in the paint, and then I've done the dry brush technique where you get rid of as much paint as you possibly can, and then with a dabbing, stippling, twisting kind of random movement over the whole area. I've done everything in the same way to get just a very slight tinge of colour, just to give that where the metal has been exposed to the air and it's just sort of starting to tarnish, and there's a little bit of grime in there as well. So that's what I've done to get that. And then over the top I've gone over with some chipping fluid, and then I've used AK's 3rd generation burnt orange. I can't say that I like these. It says no, it does, you don't get any tip dry, but I was only thinning this with some distilled water, so I wasn't really expecting that. So unless I was doing something else wrong, I don't know, but not 100% keen on the actual paint itself, but the colour for that, to give it that kind of weathered effect on the paint, where it's slightly discoloured, and with AK's medium orange over the top with more chipping fluid between the burnt orange and the medium orange, and then chip back, it gives it this really nice worn effect of where you got some of the metal coming through, it's a little bit shiny and it's a little bit tarnished, and you got the darker paint showing through to give it that weathered look. I think it does look rather good. I'm rather happy with that. In fact, I'm more than that, I'm really pleased with the way this has come out. So that is the front bucket and arm assembly. We then move into the front wheeled assembly, where the bucket and arm will eventually sit on here. The ram is, or the hydraulic section of the ram, is deliberately done in a different way, because I want it to look as if it's been taken from a store of old parts and bits and pieces. It might not necessarily have come from the same vehicle, but it kind of fits, and it's kind of about the right thing, so to speak. So it's been used to fix up what was a damaged hydraulic section of the ram. So, and then in order to get this, I've gone over again with the oily steel, but over the oily steel I've sprayed on some Vallejo dark rust wash and just slowly built the colour up, and then I've gone over it with the burnt orange, and it's given me this really sort of darkened, dirty, grimy kind of effect, and I really like it. So I'm really happy with the way that's come out. But again, with the rest of the main assembly, it's the same way, oily steel with some highlight black on it, and then chipping fluid, burnt orange, chipping fluid, medium orange, and doing all the chipping in between to get where I am on this. And I've literally gone round all of it, and I've really enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun. I'm just taking my time, I'm not rushing, as you can tell by the speed the videos are coming out. So that is that bit. Now this main body of the wheel loader is the rear section, so you can have the engine section will go in here, and the cab kind of sits around here, and then you have the front bit on there, and so on and so forth. Again, this is going in exactly the same way as the two previous parts. This is with the burnt orange on, but I've still got to do a bit more chipping and pull it back and and then I'll probably put a little bit more brown on the steps just to give it a bit more of a tarnished, dirty look. And it's literally just working my way round with chipping it away. And as you can see, I've done quite a bit here to kind of suggest that it's rubbed over some boulders and stuff and so on. So that's where I am with that. As for, as I mentioned, the engine section, it's probably no further forward than I was the last time, and in carrying on with the idea of using parts from other vehicles from a spares shed, I kind of think this is going to go in the same way, but I don't quite know where I'm going to go with it. Yeah, I'm still pondering and thinking, so I don't quite know when I'm going to start on that one. The cab I'm no further forward with. It's still as it was when I showed you in the last video, so it's still there. I haven't even built the cab assembly yet, so the only thing that I can think of that I want to do with that at the moment is have the door open so that you can get to see in, and that's probably as far as I've got with it. So there you have it. I've really enjoyed doing this, and can quite honestly say that if you are suffering the doldrums of lack of mojo for whatever reason, pick one of these up. Be careful when you get it from eBay, because the prices do differ quite a lot, so shop around and just be a little bit wise that some of them are a little bit overpriced, if to be honest, but you won't regret getting one of these because it goes together really well. It's kind of like Tamiya in another box. It just falls together. There's very little, if any, flash, and the only filling I've had to do is on this section. And to be fair, you could say I'm being a bit fussy, because by the time you put the cab in place, you're not really going to see this at all. So it's just me being over fussy. So I'm going to take some still shots so that you can have a close look at the end of the video. All I will say is thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.